Joining me now from Los Angeles is Niels Frenzen, a law professor at the University of Southern California. He worked on the legal framework to deal with the Haitian migrants trying to make their way to the United States. Thank you very much indeed for being with us, Professor Frenzen. As we're obviously seeing with this case, it is by no means the first time that we've seen flotillas of boat people escaping countries, Vietnam, Haiti, Cuba. It's happened a number of times. How do you think the Europeans are coping with this particular problem compared with others in the past?
Well, the EU, particularly in Italy, were coping better a year ago when the Italian Navy and the Italian government deployed the massive rescue operation Mare Nostrum. But otherwise, since that program ended, the EU has not been coping well. It's important to note, however, the context in which this is all happening right now, and that's Syria. That's one of the primary drivers of this crisis, and this is the greatest refugee crisis the world has faced since the end of World War II.
So whose legal responsibility are these people at sea, and do we have a responsibility to do more to stop them drowning?
Well, I mean, certainly under the law of the sea, under the Search and Rescue Convention, when a ship encounters another boat in distress, there's a clear legal obligation to render assistance. There's a separate question as to whether or not the EU or any member state of the European Union has an affirmative duty to send rescue boats out into, for example, Libyan coastal waters. That's a gray area, but we know the boats are coming. The EU has the capability of rescuing, and certainly even if there's not a clear legal obligation to go out and rescue, there's a moral and political responsibility to do so.
And on past precedent, what is the most effective way of bringing these sort of human flows to an end?
Well, solving the situation in Syria, solving the situation in Eritrea and other sub-Saharan countries that have the conditions that are causing people to flee, that's obviously a long-term solution. It doesn't deal with what we're facing on a daily basis right now. The EU should be expanding the rescue operation and creating other safe legal means by which some people from Syria and other countries can pursue legal pathways to the EU and to other countries.
Is there a legal option to turn back boats, as the Australians have done?
There is not. What Australia is doing and what Prime Minister Abbott is calling for again is clearly illegal under the Refugee Convention, under the Convention Against Torture. We've seen pushbacks practiced by the Italians in the Mediterranean. The European Court of Human Rights in 2012 said in no uncertain terms that pushback practices are a violation of the European Convention of Human Rights.
And once you rescue people, are they then your responsibility?
Well, international law says that once a person is rescued, that person has to be disembarked in a place of safety. And that's the gray area in international law. What is a place of safety? Could it be Tunisia? Could it be eastern Libya as opposed to the Tripoli area, which is controlled by the New Dawn? But clearly, once an individual is taken on board an EU vessel, whether it be an armed forces of Malta patrol boat or an Italian Coast Guard cutter, that person comes within the jurisdiction of that particular EU state. EU law applies, and that person has a right to pursue an application for asylum or other forms of protection within that EU state.
Professor Frenzen, thank you very much indeed for your advice.